Alana here from Artful Teaching, Joyful Learning. Hello, I help educators and homeschool families teach with confidence, ease, and a splash of creativity so that their kids fall in love with learning. And I am really excited to share with you today a little bit of inspiration all around the subject of Valentine's Day. We know that Valentine's Day is something that tends to capture the hearts of all of our kids. And so why not capitalize on this special holiday to inspire some writing and some lovely process art. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And I've got a lot of juicy show and tell behind me here. So you're going to walk away with at least one or two activities for your toolbox to try out with your children. Now, I always love to start the idea of an invitation with some rich children's literature, some really good quality children's literature. There is so much out there around the subject of love and kindness. And here are just a few. I've got some more tucked away behind me here, but tons and tons of great children's literature to open up a dialogue all around love and how are the different ways that we can show love to one another. Now, one of the things that I love to do to get our children to sort of share their ideas and also to weave in a little bit of that emergent writing is to do something called a why chart. So after we've read a few books about love and how we can show love, I love to do something called a why chart. And so this is just a basic graphic organizer divided into looks like, sounds like, feels like, and then you go and invite your children to share the pen. So what does that mean exactly? Share the pen is a strategy where it's a scaffolded approach. It's a supported approach to help our children to take some risks with their writing. So we want our kids to be confident risk takers in their writing. We want them to use their invented spelling, their kids spelling, some people call it phonetic spelling, to help share their ideas. So this why chart really helps to bring out that dialogue about what love might look like, sound like, and feel like. And you're literally sharing the pen or the marker or the crayon and inviting your child to actually draw out those things. So in this case, we were talking about kindness, and you can see that kindness feels like hugs and tickling and playing. So you can see that the children here are showing their understanding through pictures and through some of that kids spelling. Kindness sounds like things like I love you, right? And you can see my daughter here has drawn a picture of, it looks like me maybe blowing her kisses, saying I love you. And kindness looks like gentle hands, right? Sharing, again, kisses. So this is just a wonderful organizer. It's called a why chart. You can use it for any number of things. And I'm just going to show you again what it looks like. So looks like, sounds like, feels like, and it's just kind of a way to help organize our kids' thinking. Another way that we can document their ideas is through a bubble map. Some people call this a mind map. I like to call it a bubble map because it's really fun. But another way that you can encourage sharing the pen and getting your kids pencil to paper is by sort of doing this as a group on big paper. I love to use chart paper, but having a large piece of paper with some blank bubbles there, and you can kind of brainstorm ideas all around their ideas of love. And again, you're sharing the pen, they're either drawing or using their beginning sounds to write their ideas. Okay, so we're going to get into the sort of process art piece in just a moment. So right now we're really tapping into their prior knowledge. We're getting our kids talking about it because we know that in order for our kids to write about stuff, they have to be able to first share stories and talk about it. Another graphic organizer here is all around people I love. So one of the first ways that we can get our children writing, of course, is to write about people and things that are meaningful to them. And what's more meaningful than people in their family, right? Those are some of the first words that they're going to be able to recognize, read, and write. So it's really important that we give our kids lots of opportunities to read those words of different family members, and then again, writing those words out. So here's an example of people I love. You can see my daughter here started with a drawing of her mom and dad. And then I would encourage her then to label using her understanding of how those sounds are put together. So labeling those pictures. Now, one of the beautiful process art invitations is that we can then go and create art with and then weave writing into that are these geometric taped off hearts. So these are just basically tape resist painted hearts. And what you do basically is you take your piece of watercolor paper, tape off a bunch of different sections, right, with plain old masking tape or washi tape. Paint those little sections in just using some watercolor. Okay, so you can see each of those sections is done in a different color. And then invite your child to then go ahead and peel, this is a fun part here, peel off that tape. So you'll see that the paint has resisted wherever that masking tape is, and it just leaves a really fun kind of cool design. But what you can then do is take your children's ideas of all those people that they love, right? The people of their family and their friends, and have them write those names inside the heart. Okay, so that's one idea of using sort of a process-based approach, weaving in a little bit of writing with people that they know. Another way that I love to do is super simple, painted newspaper, right? We all have newspaper kicking around in our recycle bins. So here's an example, just some painted newsprint. Get your child to cut out those shapes of hearts, and you can use them on little cards like this. So there's another playful invitation to explore. So your child is then creating a card for somebody that they love and writing to that person. Another idea, of course, is through bookmaking. Okay, so here's an example of painted newsprint in the form of a book. Okay, and giving kids templates like the words love is, it gives them a playful prompt to then write about it inside their book. Here's an example of one of those books. So you can see I've used different process art techniques to make some hearts and to represent, you know, the word love. And then of course, we're filling these books with our kids' ideas. What is love? Who are the people that we love? And so on. And here's another example of one of those newspaper printed hearts. And this is just a yarn wrapped book here. I think I brought it along, maybe I didn't. Yarn wrapped book all about love. Another really fun, playful invitation to get our kids writing is through invented spelling on menus and recipes and things like that. What kid doesn't love to play bake shop, right? So set up your own little bake shop, some homemade Play-Doh, offer up some loose parts like gems and beads, and those can be your child's sprinkles. I even love to offer up real recipe books, you know, baking cookbooks or cookie cookbooks, just as inspiration to give our kids some ideas. And then with the Play-Doh, they can then, you know, use heart cutters and cut out different shapes of hearts, decorate those with the loose parts. And then of course that prompts your child into making a menu, which is a very authentic invitation to write. We always want our children to be writing for purpose and weaving it into those playful opportunities. So here's a menu. You can see the invented spelling here. We've got gingerbread, we've got cookies, right? So that's another example of a way that we can sort of weave in more playful approaches to writing. Now, I do want to show you here a few different process art techniques. Now, process art is really all about experimenting with new tools and art mediums in open-ended ways. So giving our kids lots and lots of opportunities to practice those new mediums and then gradually developing that fluency with those mediums. So the first thing I want to show you here, super easy, relatively mess-free. So this is just a little plasticine heart. And again, we're experimenting and playing with letters here. We've got some letter stamps. So the one thing that you'll need here is just basically a pre-cut heart shape out of recycled cardboard. And then grab your dollar store variety plasticine here. This is just sort of oil-based modeling clay. at the dollar store. And what you'll do is you'll invite your child just to combine a couple different colors of plasticine and smush and smear those colors together and just cover that whole heart shape. And the fun thing about this is that the plasticine kind of blends almost like paint does. And it almost offers like a bit of a marbled technique. So the more that your child smushes and smears all around, the more marbled that plasticine is going to look. Now you can see here that I took my little stamps. Okay, Melissa and Doug make awesome stamps for kids. And they can just stamp out the letters love, or, you know, somebody in their family, mom or dad, again, playing with letters and making words. So here's an example of a plasticine heart, stamped heart. That's one sort of process-based technique. I mentioned the newspaper hearts. That's a really fun one. So using newsprint with paint. Another take on the plasticine, but this time using beads, is to create, again, with that cardboard, smear some plasticine on the back. They're also great fine motor practice for our kids, right? They're practicing, you know, smushing and smearing, great fine motor practice. And then using those little dollar store beads to just create a heart shape. Okay, and then you can just take that with a little piece of your watercolor paper, and that becomes a kind of a Valentine's Day card. Another one that, of course, in Reggio, we believe that children have 100 languages, right? 100 ways to communicate. Another way that we can extend this is through wire and beads. Okay, so this is just your typical dollar store wire. You can use pipe cleaner, and then just a bunch of beads from the dollar store. Again, great fine motor practice. They can make patterns with these or not, but here's an example of a really lovely sort of wooden bead heart shape. And if you're feeling inclined, you can once again hot glue gun that to a card. The card can then be written in with your kids' invented spelling. Finally, I wanted to show you a couple that are a little more on the messy side, but equally like lots and lots of fun for your kids. So this one is called chalk marbling. Okay, it's a different form of marbling. If you have chalk pastels, okay, these happen to be Faber-Castell chalk pastels. I have used sidewalk chalk for these. They're not as vibrant, but they're still lovely and fun. What you'll do is you'll just have a tray of some water. Okay, so that's just a plain old baking dish with a bit of water here. And what you'll do is you'll take a couple of pieces of complementary sort of colored chalk pastel here, and you'll invite your child to shave using sort of a plastic knife works well, or a little butter knife. You'll shave that chalk into the water, and it kind of floats on top. I'm going to use a little bit of purple here as well. Okay, and this is where the fun magic happens. I've used chalk marbling for all kinds of process swatches and things like that. You'll take your watercolor and you'll just stamp it on top, and you'll lift it up, and you can see that it offers this really cool speckled approach, this really cool speckled technique. Once again, and here's another example that's a bit more dry. So that's a really, really fun process-based technique that works well for creating our kids' Valentine's cards. And of course, the final one that all kids love is milk marbling. So this is a super cool science experiment turned process art technique. So what you'll need is a tray of milk. This is whole milk. You can use almond milk, whatever kind of milk you have, and a little bit of food coloring. So this is just water soluble food coloring. I've got some purple, some pink. What you'll do is you'll add a couple of drops to that milk. Okay. And I've got my pink here. And I'm sure many, many of you have seen this technique. It's mesmerizing and lots of fun for children. You'll need a little bit of, this is liquid dish soap. So a little bit of liquid dish soap and a little Q-tip. And so what I'll do is I'll dip that Q-tip inside the liquid dish soap. and you'll get to see those colors start to really, I call it colors dancing, but they kind of move around. And then you can even take your Q-tip and kind of swirl that paint all around. And if I move my screen closer here, you can kind of take a peek at what's happening. And children are just mesmerized by this process. It's a chemical kind of reaction with the fat of the milk and the dish soap. So it's a really cool technique. Once again, you can take your watercolor piece of paper and just go ahead and stamp that inside. This is a little more on the messy side, so you want to make sure you have somewhere to dry it. And of course, the end result looks something like this. So lots and lots of fun. The experiment is definitely where it's at with that one. But I hope that gives you a few new ideas and some inspiration for how we can use Valentine's Day to really bring out our kids' playful writing and reasons to write and make cards for people that we love. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the video, I would love for you to share it, like it, share it with any folks that you think might find it valuable. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye for now.